Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is Robin from Western Massachusetts. It is Sunday, April 17th, a snowy day here in the Berkshire Mountains on Easter Sunday. And this is the Morgellons Call of the Week. I am honored to be the co-host of this program, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thanks to Richard, the protocols, the diet in his book. I have gotten my life back multiple times, and it's given me a chance to give back by being here, by coaching people. I'm very grateful for Richard, his knowledge, his kindness, his compassion, and this community. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Richard Kuhns, author of How to Get Your Life Back from Morgellons and Other Skin Parasites.
Thank you, Robin. Welcome, everybody, this Easter Sunday. We're here to support you in getting your life back. We know, without a doubt, that you can do it. The topic for today, do you have an email there to read, Robin?
It says, "Hi, Richard. Some people are going to be staying over for a couple of nights. A hotel is not an option for various reasons. I think they deserve to know about my parasites. Any recommendations as to how to tell them?"
Well, that is a touchy subject, isn't it, Robin? What are your choices? Your choice is not to tell them. And last week we had a email that was read from someone who moved into this home, and I guess her father-in-law was redoing it or refurbishing it, and covered things over, covered mold over, and was suffering from Morgellons, and didn't tell either his son or his daughter-in-law, and actually told his son, "Hey, don't tell your wife, I got this, And of course, she succumbed to it, and that's a terrible way to find out. Terrible. I mean, can you imagine willingly and wantonly being around somebody and not letting them know the chance that they could contract this terrible, hideous disease? Can you, Robin? Is that track?
I mean, no. There's consequences because people may think you're crazy and they won't believe you, but I really feel like it's our responsibility to let people know, and they can choose if they want to come in your home or if they want to stay somewhere else. But
yes,
I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So
no. So yes, there are consequences, and the question is, do you want to suffer the consequences of being with other people in close proximity? I mean, this is kind of like coronavirus. If you knew you had the virus, would you want to be in the vicinity of others and not tell them, or exercise any precautions? I mean, it's totally irresponsible to do that. Yeah, many people have done it, and that disease has spread. So it's kind of like that. The only difference is that everybody knows what COVID-19 is. Everybody knows. But very few people actually know what Morgellons is. And, there could be the mention of it being a skin parasite, which it is, because it utilizes nutrients from your bodies to produce these filaments comprised of keratin and collagen, and that, by definition, is a parasite, something that utilizes something from your body to replicate or produce something. So how do you broach this subject? So this is not meant to be really a direction on ABC, this is what you need to do. And make a list of, and we don't have a pat answer for everybody. Every relationship is a little bit different. So we welcome you to share your ideas of how you broach this topic, this subject with other people, and maybe what the consequences are. I suspect that most people that you share it with will have no idea what the hell you're talking about anyway and pay little attention to it, which is kind of like my experience has been. So sometimes you need to actually emphasize, hey, this is serious. We're just not kidding around here. So Robin, what types of experiences have you had? Have you in sharing your experience? How have you approached others?
Well, I mean, the first reaction is always disbelief. And when I first told my family, they drove me crazy. They wanted me to see a neurologist and a psychologist and a psychiatrist and send samples to experts. And I mean, it was just, I finally told them to stop. And I sent them copies of Dr. Savely's book. I sent them copies of papers from the NIH. And I've actually convinced them that, and I actually got a DNA test on my skin from a dermatologist that showed that there was some kind of mite activity. They didn't know what, but there were mites. So I was able to, with these things, convince my family that there were real things, and I sent them your book, which my mother actually read and convinced my whole family to stop making me crazy. And she also read Dr. Savely's book. They read all the papers I sent them, and so they still don't get it, but they are much more supportive. When I go to visit them, I stay on your diet. They have foods in the house that I can eat. They bought rice bran oil to keep on hand. We plan the menu of when we're going to get together so that I can participate instead of just watching everyone eat. I will not stay over their house at this point in time. I have at different times when I was clear, and when they come to visit me, we try to do it either where they're staying or outside, because I don't feel like I'm comfortable bringing people into my home right now. Even though I live with housemates who I have explained the situation to, and they totally don't understand.
Well, how do you broach the topic with the housemates, or how did you? What is the language, or how did you actually?
So I say, when I'm interviewing housemates, I say, well, there's something I have to tell you. I said, I have an infestation in my home of mites and springtails and a skin parasite called Morgellons. Now, Morgellons is a controversial disease. It's kind of like chronic Lyme was controversial. Maybe 20 years ago, no one believed it was real. And doctors will diagnose Morgellons as delusional parasitosis. And that is slowly changing. Not everyone is, I tell them all this, I say, and not everyone is susceptible to it. But the only way you can come and live here is if I can continue disinfecting, exterminating, and washing your bedding every week and doing these protocols. Otherwise, this is not the place for you.
What kind of reactions do you get?
Some people say this is not the place for me, and other people come and stay. It's a long periods of time, and they're fine.
Oh, okay. So you take the risk, and some people it's okay, and some people it's not. But you put it out there, which is important. When you spoke to your family, did you use the same approach with the same thinking or language?
Yeah. Once I did research, read your book, I did use the same approach. Although it was early on in my battle against Morgellons when I approached them about it, and I was not as calm. I was really anxious, and I was panicked. I was in fight or flight mode,
Mm-hmm.
And they were so reactionary initially that, and I
So
mean,
maybe their reaction was like a mirror of your feelings at the time.
it was worse. It
Yeah.
was worse. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And
Thanks.
they couldn't understand, like, why do I keep doing this stuff in my house? I must be able to eat off my floor and blah, blah, blah. It was like, no, you don't get it. I can't even go barefoot in my house. I'm not going to eat off this floor. It's like they really didn't understand. But and they still don't, but they're much more supportive.
Mm-hmm. Mary, have you had any experience of sharing your issues with somebody? How did you do it? How did you approach it?
Yeah, I told my mom, and she is not very supportive.
She is not very supportive.
It took time and a lot of sharing research for them to change.
Well, the thing is, she says she believes me, but like she never asks how things are going here. And there's been a couple of times, actually yesterday, I told her right now the house is heavily infested, and she pulled in and she wanted to come in. And I said, no, you can't. And I felt terrible because she had to go to the bathroom. And gosh, I'd rather pee my pants than have these springtails. So I still feel really bad about that. And I sent her to the closest public bathroom around here. So it's kind of iffy with her. And I've told my cousin, and I don't think she believes me either. But, it's one of those things where they just won't talk about it.
How do you tell? What kind of language do you use? How do you broach it? What do you actually say to them?
Well, I told her that I was having a problem in the house with springtails. And, of course, whenever you say that, people are like, well, I've never even heard of them before.
Yeah, what the hell are they?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm the same way. Well, I didn't know what they were either, and it took me a while to figure it out. And I try to go through and explain the research, the study that was done on the 20 people, and they just kind of look at me. I mean, it never goes down well, but I don't have a real supportive family either. So
that's unfortunate, and it's true for many people on this call. The family is not supportive; they can't comprehend it, don't believe it anyway. So,
I mean,
at least you tell them.
Just recently, my sister was going on vacation, and she lives in a duplex with my mom underneath. And she wanted me to come and stay in her house, sleep in her bed, feed her cats, and help take care of my mom. It was like, wait, this has been going on for quite a while, and I know you don't get it, but there's no way I can do that.
Right.
I said, I've had exterminators and dermatologists verify the springtails and the mites. I said, you don't want these in your house, whether you're susceptible to them or not.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's open the phones. We had some numbers that people had shared at the beginning who would like to share their experience.
Richard, I have about 5 people.
Okay. Open up somebody.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Happy Easter to everybody.
Thank you.
One of the big questions I had is one of the problems I continue to have is have the itchiness in my hair, the movement in my hair. Even after I take a shower and I come out of the shower, you can feel them. It seems like they fall out of nowhere on me.
Yeah, excuse me. I guess there's a little bit of misunderstanding. The topic here is about sharing your experience with other people that you might be contagious or you might have something. The question that you have will be using for the Q&A later on. So,
okay. Well, yeah. Well, I've explained it to my wife, and she just thinks she agrees with the Medicare doctor that I go and see that it's all
Hello?
Hello?
We lost you.
I told him, I said, olanzapine don't do anything, and so I don't get any support here at all on it. It's just a constant battle for me. And the only one that the only one that believes me is my sister, who lives 1,200 miles away in Iowa, and she believes me. And my daughter, she believes me also. But as far as that goes, here, no, it's just it's a living hell every day. I mean, for me, and that's about the size of it.
It's unfortunate. When you meet someone else, or if you ever have occasion to be in the vicinity or a company of other people that maybe relatives or whatever, do you ever broach the topic, or people that might be in close enough proximity in terms of time and so forth that they could contract it from you? Have you ever broached the topic with them, and how did you do it?
Oh, yes, sir, I have. One of the most recent ones is I go down in our subdivision here where I live in. We have what they call a duck pond down here, little park down the road, and I go down there walking in the mornings. I go out, walk around it, and there's a guy that sits there that reads the Bible every morning, and I brought it up to him, and he says, well, you just don't pray hard enough. And I said, well, believe me, I prayed till I was blue in the face. And he just looks at me like I'm crazy, and I said, no, I'm telling you, sir, you just don't believe, you won't believe it. But he says, unless you have it, you don't understand. I said, these things, I mean, they crawl on you. I said, it's nothing to wake up in the middle of the night and they're crawling on you. And he just looked at me like, are you serious? And I brought it up to I brought it up to my sister, and she believes me that there's a problem. She just doesn't know how really to address it, and my daughter's the same way. I brought it up to a neighbor, and a neighbor said, oh, how disgusting, that you're going through this.
Can you give us an idea of what you actually say to them when you say you brought it up? That could be anything. Can you give us an actual idea of what you actually say to them to bring it up?
Oh yeah, well I'll just bring it up. I'll just say that that I've got something that's crawling on me, and I've been to doctors, and they can't figure out what's wrong with me. And I said, I don't want to shake your hand or anything, because I don't know what this is, and I don't want to transfer it to you. And I said, I prefer to, just we talk at a distance, and I said, it's something that the medical field doesn't know anything about, or they're completely trying to be blind about it. That's what I tell them, And
is that
and
true that you don't know what it is?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that true that you don't know what it is?
Well, I do, but I'm telling them that the doctors don't even seem to know what it is, and they just look at me and they said, well, the one guy said, well, the doctors know everything. I said, no, actually, some of these doctors are pretty stupid, And I said, I don't know where they get their medical degree, but I said it's a case of, if they can't figure out what's wrong with you, then you're crazy, And another thing is I went over to he sent me to a dermatologist, and all they wanted to do is put me in a sun tanning booth, and I kept telling them to take samples from my skin to send them in, and every time, we'll do that the next time, and then next time never happened. They kept putting me in the sun tanning booth. So that's where I'm at, And I do have neighbors, like I say, that are understanding when I do have a neighbor across the road from me that when I bring, I brought it up, and she says, well, how disgusting. I mean, you can actually feel them crawling. I said, yes, I actually do. And I said, I said I have a halfway idea of what it is, but I said I'm not for certain whether it's mites or it's some other kind of a parasite. But I said I don't want to come into your house and sit down and contaminate you people. I'd rather just stand out here in the driveway and talk to you, than to come into your house. I don't want you to have to be exposed to it because I don't know if maybe I might contaminate you people,
Right.
And so
that's great.
So
you're being socially responsible, and that is of utmost importance that we are socially responsible in that manner. Well, thank you very much, Richard. We'll take your question later on in the Q&A. Is there anyone else who would like to share how you've broached this topic with people that you relate with or work with?
I would like to share one other thing is that, you want to be responsible and honest, but as you get better, which everyone will get better if they work the program. It works if you work it, and you can visit with people, go to people's homes, clean your skin, your clothes, your car, everything before you go, and be pretty safe and pretty confident about that.
Well, that's very true. I mean, when you get your life back, you live normally, you can have relations with other people, you can hug them, you can shake their hands, romantic, do anything you want when you have your life back. When you're newly into the program and are symptomatic, then it's important to be very cautious. Do we have anybody else to open up?
For me, it's a very, when I was going through what I was going through, it was very, people think I'm crazy, I'm out of my mind, I'm delusional. And if I try to explain to them, your book or something like that, they think you're crazy too. They think we're all out of her. But I got to laugh because until in the beginning, my mother was for it, but then she turned differently and, thinks I'm out of my mind. But, if this, they don't know till they get it. You know what I'm saying? I was very cautiously, because in the situation I'm living with my mother, I was very cautiously, she'd be like, look, don't touch me because I have something and I don't want to give it to you. I don't want you to have this, and I don't want I didn't want to have my brothers to have it or anybody in my family. I would go out if they came over, stuff like that. I wouldn't let them go in my room. It's just very. It's in the beginning. Now I got my life back. It's with the certain supplements that I'm taking, I don't feel nothing right now. But now they're coming over now. Now I feel a little more better. I don't feel that crawling sensation or any of that stuff. So, I'm pretty well. But I talked to somebody from overseas that's in a third world country, and they know more about certain parasites than we do, how to get rid of them.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's secure, but they know more. They say, oh, we go to the doctors, and the doctor tells us to do this and that, and they do it, and it's amazing. It's amazing that the doctors over here, they did the same thing with me. They put me in the tanning booth when I went to the dermatologist. I remember that. They put me in a tanning. That didn't do anything. That's not no.
So, okay, thank you, Nick. Thanks. We're talking about these organisms being that we're contagious. Now, the Morgellons, the Charles Holman Association and people associated with it, several dozen, I suppose, are of the opinion that these organisms are not contagious, that they cannot be passed from human to human. In fact, I don't know if they are doing it now, but they had been for years doing a yearly in Austin, Texas, where anybody could come, and they were inviting people who had Morgellons to come and sit amongst other people, and here I am, and everyone that has shared so far indicates that it is contagious. So are we on two different planets? You know, bottom line is, I know personally that I have contributed to other people picking up the organisms over the years, more so 20 years ago than recently. I have many emails from people. Many people have shared on this program that people who have visited them, whether it be their granddaughter or family members or whatever, picked it up, or they picked it up from someone else. So for me to say it's not contagious, I would have to be calling all these people liars, and myself, and Robin, and Mary, you know, and we're just not liars, you know. Now, personally, it is I think we want to agree that it's a topic that is important to address, but it's important to address it tactfully, okay? What I often say is that there are organisms in our world, they're called columbella. I don't really address the issue of Morgellons, which is to many people way out there, and, you know, chemtrails and filaments and fibers and that kind of thing, although we can get into that. But essentially, there are 90% of us I know are dealing with springtails anyway. And there are organisms on this planet that are necessary for our lives. Columbola. They are responsible for cleaning up all the dead matter, the leaves that fall, the decay, and, you know, without these organisms, we would be living in a planet of waste. It's simple as that. Unfortunately, for some reason, over the last, I don't know, it seems to be, well, they were first encountered in 1958 in a Swedish study. That's reported in the book. So they've been around a long time, but it seems that it's become, within the last several decades, more of an experience, more of an issue. Now, is it because we have the internet and the ability to communicate within the last 20 so years? I don't really know. But I suspect that there are things that human beings have been messing around with that are contributing to some of these organisms. There are 6,000 species of springtails. So I might say this, these organisms, springtails, columbella, are required part of our environment to keep the planet clean. Somehow, over the last 20 or 30 years or so, we have humans been doing something that have made some of these species more aggressive. And actually, there's reported about 19 different species out of the 6,000 that are known that seem to have an affinity for human flesh. All right? Not all human flesh. Maybe it's because of the pheromones that we produce. So not everybody is susceptible to them. It turns out that I am a good meal for these guys, all right? And they have an affinity to me and my skin. And I know how to eat, and I know how to live my life to basically control them to the point is that I am not contagious. Oh, I forgot to tell you, they are and can be contagious. So this is why I'm sharing this with you, is that it's unlikely, but it's also possible. So I don't want anybody to be in the dark that after we meet or whatever, there's a chance, I don't know whether it's 1 out of 50 or 1 out of 200, that you may have, see, they can jump off for one, you know, this sounds kind of crazy, you know, and you might say this sounds kind of like sci-fi, but they can jump from one person to another. And they could, if I were active, jump onto you, and you would notice an itching occur shortly thereafter. Now, it's not a big problem, not a big problem. The big problem would be if I didn't tell you about it, All right, that would be a humongous problem, because that itching, if it weren't dealt with right away, could turn into a massive problem over the next few days. But if you notice an itching, and I would always have a little spray bottle with me, or one of our products, Nature's Gift, that, you know, it's a good thing to give them. Or you can say, if you notice any itching, just get some Caladryl out of your medicine cabinet, or maybe some hydrogen peroxide, or amylactin, or any of these kind of things, or Neosporin, and apply it to that itch right away, and it'll go away pretty soon. So I would give them this approach, and that leave them at loss as to what to do should anything happen. Many people do write in and ask me, well, what do you do? You know, if I gave this to my granddaughter or whatever, what would you do? And the answer is, in the beginning, there's usually no big issue. You know, take a bath with Nature's Gift, apply the skin lotion, maybe amylactin, maybe hydrogen peroxide. There are a bunch of different things that will work if you do it in the very beginning and don't ignore it. Anything you'd like to add, Robin?
Yeah, well, the other thing about catching it in the beginning is if it's been more than a day, you want to make sure they do laundry protocols as well.
Absolutely, and disinfect
disinfect the car.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I found you, because you're really helpful about this stuff. So I'm really new to finding out I have Morgellons, and my story is really atypical because I had decided I wanted to stop taking a medication, and one of the side effects is thinking you have bugs crawling on you. And so I was told that was it for a while, and it turned out to be this. And so because of that, I was like, well, I'm already crazy, so it's obviously not me being crazy. So I actually have Western medicine doctors who totally believe in this. But yeah, so my friends, I also have long COVID. So a group of my friends said, we're going to this concert. And so I've shared a hotel room already. And I've started the diet, but very stripped down, almost to like a elimination diet, because this is awful. So I'm loving everything you're saying, because I need it all. And I've already thrown out like 90% of my stuff. So I've already shared a hotel room to try to get back on track. So my mind is crazy. And what I'd said to my friend was, as an example, because it's the thing that people have heard of the most, I used Demodex mites, because the first thing I saw come out of my hand it was a Demodex-looking mite. And I said, you know, Demodex caused rosacea. And in the United States, Western medicine doctors here know about two kinds, but you know, I look at the same files it looks like you look at. In India, they're studying over 140 species of Demodex. So I said, I have these parasites, and they simply don't know what they are here. I have a doctor who doesn't believe it's just a delusion. And I have no idea if they're contagious. These are the things I'm doing at home just to be at home. You know, but like, I'm not sure about this. You're risking this. No hugging, no any of this. We're wearing masks in the hotel room. You're wearing masks around me all the time. You have to wear flip-flops in the shower, all that. And I don't know. That seemed to go over well. And she drank absinthe, like real absinthe, every night, just in case. She basically poisoned herself. Yeah, so that's what I tried, because people have heard of Demodex.
Yeah, I love your approach, using Demodex, because most people know what they are rather than springtails, and that long explanation I went through. I think Demodex is a better way to approach it, really. Thank you. That's great.
Okay, thank you.
Also, you know, if you are going to sleep somewhere, you can get a silk sleeping bag liner if you're going to share a room, and they don't like smooth silk kind of surfaces, and you can sleep inside that, which can limit the infestation from spreading.
Oh, that's great to know. Thank you. See, I know everything you say is so helpful. Thank you. That's a great tip. This is crazy, Dad.
Also, whenever you're in, like I say, whenever you're in a proximity of other people, always have along some of our products to, if you feel activity on your skin, use those products and kill them. The Super MSM gel is fantastic. It knocks things right out in minutes. The mouthwash, backslash body wipe, that will help knock things out. Before you go to a social encounter, I really recommend taking a capsule of our Parasite Stop herbal formula. It can be phenomenal. I don't know if it works as well for everybody, but I know it can be phenomenal. So those are a couple of precautions you can take even before you go out and socialize or be with others.
Oh, thank you. That was the first time I went out in a long time, and so I had to think of something.
Yeah. Well, that was an excellent explanation because people do know what Demodex mites are. Yeah, thank you.